Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced a plan today to help small businesses survive during the coronavirus pandemic. In a partnership with Goldman Sachs and LiftFund, small businesses will be able to apply for a loan through the U.S. Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program. Eyewitness News reporter Vanessa Croy joins us with how the program will work. Vanessa?
Well, Deb, that partnership will provide $50 million in loans to small businesses across the state. Governor Abbott saying today these small businesses are the heart of the Texas economy, and the loans will not only help revitalize the economy, but restore the livelihoods of Texans.
I'm so proud to be joined by people who are injecting new strength into the great Texas economy.
A landmark announcement today from Texas Governor Greg Abbott. $50 million in loans now available for the state's small businesses trying to survive during the coronavirus pandemic.
Texans need relief so that they can provide for the families and meet their families' daily needs.
The funds are made available by Goldman Sachs through the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program.
We must continue to do all possible to protect the health and safety of our fellow Texans, while at the very same time working to restore the livelihoods of our fellow Texans.
The funding will be primarily used for payroll, so businesses can keep paying their employees.
What they need most at this time is an economic lifeline, an infusion of capital as they prepare to return to business as usual.
San Antonio-based LiftFund will distribute the majority of the funds to small businesses that qualify. And if stipulations are met, the loans will be forgiven by the SBA.
We want Texans on payroll, not laid off. And these PPP loans will ensure that rather than having employees fired, those employees in Texas will remain hired.
Two of the first businesses to benefit from the loans are from San Antonio. Coffee Shionado, Community Roasters, and I Run Texas are the owners that were part of that Zoom call with the governor today. We will hear more from the owners of one of those businesses at 10 to see how these loans will help keep their business alive. Deb?
All right, Vanessa, thank you.